Have you ever wanted to do something and you talk to someone and the advice that they gave you is it's easy? Or have you ever wanted to do something and you talk to somebody and they say all you have to do is blank? And when you start doing it and when you think about doing it, you're like, man, this is more than I can take. And I'm not really sure that I can trust the process that they suggested. Well, trusting the process is not something that is easy. It's not something that we can just jump into without having evidence and without having proof. And so today I'm going to show you how you can trust the process. The first thing, in order for you to trust the process, is very important that trust comes through clarity. Trust isn't something that you just automatically have, but trust is something that is grown and something that is proven over time through actions and through evidence. So trust comes through clarity. It is hard to trust something that you don't understand. It is hard to trust something that you don't understand. Many people follow routines and they follow advice that they picked up from someone else, but they never fully grasp why these actions happen. It's why these actions matter. And this is very important because a lot of times we're doing things without a why. And when we have a why helps us to gain clarity. It reminds me of a book that I read called Start with Why. When we begin to understand our why, it helps us to get clear and it helps us to see things in their proper perspective. Trust increases when someone can answer the simple questions like, what is this process designed to produce? Why do these actions matter? And what skills and qualities is the process building in me? And oftentimes, whenever you find people who don't want to answer questions, it's because normally they can't answer the questions. A lot of times we want to connect with people that are able to answer these questions so that we can get the insights and so that we can get the information so that we can implement it and to make informed decisions. Because clarity turns blind faith into informed commitment. Clarity turns blind faith into informed commitment. And when we are informed about our commitments, we're able to sustain them. We're able to maintain them when times get difficult and when we want to throw in the towel. The next way we can trust the process, we got to understand that trust comes from small evidence. Trust rarely appears all at once. It grows through small wins and visible process. Trust doesn't appear all at once, but it grows through small wins and visible progress. So what does that mean? That means that when I begin to first take these steps, that's the more I trust myself. My mind goes back. If you ever seen a baby when they begin to walk, at first, when they stand up, they may be afraid to take that step. They're shaking, they're wobbly. But as they begin to take that step, they begin to trust themselves. They begin to trust their skills. They begin to trust their balance. And once they begin to do it, it begins to grow on them. And as they begin to trust themselves, they're willing to take more steps. A lot of times when my daughters were growing up, we used to hold their hand and just walk backwards. And then when you release it, you had to allow them to trust you enough for them to trust themselves and to walk towards you. And that's the same thing in your life. As you begin to work, as you begin to take these steps, not only will you trust the process, but you will trust yourself in the process as well. And this looks like improved discipline, greater awareness, increased skill, and better decision making and measurable improvements. These signals tell the brain something important, that the effort is not wasted. Your brain is always paying attention to your life. It's regulating your body, it's regulating your mood, and it's regulating how you move through life. And as you begin to work on these things, this is what signals trust in your brain. Before you could trust anything, your brain has to register it. And when it sees the evidence behind it, it makes it easier. It makes us more apt to begin to trust. Over time, small evidence compounds into deep belief. Small evidence compounds into deep belief. And in order for us to believe something, it is wise for us to have evidence. Number 3, trust comes from consistency. Most people want results, but they have not been consistent long enough to produce them. A lot of times, people are not willing to be consistent. People are not willing to be consistent. They can be consistent, but are they willing to be consistent? When we find this out, we understand that trust shows up after repetition, not before. The trust comes from after the repetition, not before. You got to show me that I am able to trust you. You have to show me that your process is trustworthy. I'm just not going to be just blind and leaping towards things, but I need to understand that it works. And when we understand this, we see that when someone keeps showing up and executing the process repeatedly, they start noticing patterns. And the patterns that we start noticing when we show up repeatedly and we start building trust is that we respond better under pressure. When people are all disarrayed, panicking and screaming, we're cool and we are able to respond instead of react. We make fewer emotional decisions. As someone else told me that's a lot wiser than me, they said that emotions extinguish the flames of intelligence. So it's important for us to realize that when we're making decisions, we keep emotions out of decisions so that we can make accurate decisions. They recover better from setbacks faster. They recover from setbacks faster. When we have built this and we're executing it, we are able to recover when things go wrong. Consistency creates familiarity, and familiarity creates confidence. When we are consistent, our brain begins to catch on to it, and it makes us more confident in what we're doing. Just like that baby analogy. The baby was shaky when he first started walking, but when it became consistent in the walking, it moves from walking to running. And pretty much we're chasing the baby after that. And that's where we want to be within our life. Number 4, trust requires patience with the timeline. Trust requires patience with the timeline. And that is something, I don't know if you're like me, but I lacked patience. Patience was something that I didn't have. And patience is something that is developed through trials. Patience is something that is developed through tribulations, and you can't rush it. One of the biggest reasons why people abandon their process is unrealistic timing. We think it's going to happen immediately. But real development usually happens slower than people expect. Just like when folks start going to the gym. A lot of people have these New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to hit it up. I'm going to be working on my summer beach bod. And after they got in there and they didn't see the results as fast as they thought they would, they abandoned those gym memberships. And so when we do this, we start understanding that real development and skills and habits, and we have to have the mindset as it begins to strengthen. The challenge is that the early stages of many process, it feels invisible and it seems invisible. We don't see anything happen. We don't see any results. But the fact of the matter that your effort is happening, but results are not yet obvious. And we have to understand and be okay with understanding that even though I may be doing these inputs, I may not be seeing the outputs that I desire, but these inputs are going to produce in the end. A challenge is that trust grows when someone understands that the process ought to produce delayed rewards. We got to make these deposits. We have to make these deposits, and the rewards are not always instantaneous. Sometimes some things take time, just like with seeds. If you ever planted a garden, when you plant that seed, it doesn't grow overnight. In fact, it doesn't grow in 2 days. In fact, it doesn't even grow in weeks. But if you give it time, you'll see how the process begins to unfold. And when we understand that it may not happen immediately, it's going to happen in increments. Trust grows when someone understands that the process, I already said that. And so even though it may be slow and smooth beats fast and reckless every single time. And when we're doing this, we got to understand that powerful things happen even though we can't see them. Number 5, trust deepens through reflection. Reflection helps people see progress they might otherwise miss. Reflection helps us to see the progress we might otherwise miss. A lot of times we get so caught up in things, mind running, trying to get things done, checking things off the list, that we overlook and we fail to appreciate the progress that we have come. Without reflection, people only focus on what hasn't happened yet. But when they reflect, they start noticing what's already changed. And a lot of times we're so focused on results that we can't appreciate the growth that we've already had. We can't appreciate the progress that we already made. We can't appreciate the effort that we have been putting in. And when we reflect, we might begin to see that you're already thinking different, that you're already moving different, and that you're responding differently to stressful situations, and you have grown in your discipline and you've gained a new perspective. Reflection turns invisible growth into visible awareness. When you reflect, you turn what was invisible and you become aware of that. And I don't know about you, I love to see when I realize that things have changed. I love to see when my mindset begins to shift and I notice how I'm doing now versus where I was before. And the sixth and final thing, trust requires adjustment. Trusting a process does not mean refusing to improvement. Trusting the process does not mean refusing to improve it. And a lot of times people get so set in their ways, this the way I'm gonna do it. I'm not changing. Like Jay-Z say, I never change. And there's a lot of men, there's a lot of people still singing that Jay-Z song, I never change. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at Jay-Z today, he is not the same individual he was when he made that song. And we have to decide that we are willing to make some innovation. What's innovation? Is when I begin to make improvements on what's already here. Sometimes people lose trust because the process is truly flawed. And if it's flawed, that means we have to fix it and then we fix ourselves. The answer is not blind loyalty. The answer is thoughtful improvements and thoughtful adjustments. Strong processes evolve. People refine them based on feedback, experience, and results. And I want to let you know, whatever feedback that we get in life, we want to use it as fuel. Do not take it as failure. Whatever feedback that you get in life, use it as fuel. Fuel to improve, not looking at it as failure that you have messed up. Because when we begin to look at our experiences and our results, we can make these tweaks. Trust grows when somebody sees their process can adapt while still moving them forward. When you're able to adjust and move. Something in the military that we learned is called shoot and move. So what you want to be doing, you want to be moving towards your target and also engaging the threats or the things that are not beneficial for you. So as you begin to grow, you want to be able to take out, you want to be able to make these adjustments so that you are sustaining your progress. And trust is key in that. The deeper truth is, most people believe that trust comes first, but in reality, trust always follows action. When you begin choosing a path and taking consistent steps and learning from experience and adjusting along the way, evidence shows and that you are building and you are progressing and it becomes visible and your trust in your process begins to elevate. In other words, you don't trust the process because you feel certain. You trust the process because you keep showing up long enough to see that it works. You want to outlast the learning curve. And when you begin to outlast the learning curve, the results that you're desiring to see will begin to come forth. And over time, the process always does something powerful. It doesn't just change your results, it changes you. It's not about what's going to be on the outside of the process. It's not about the outcome or the results that we get in the process. It's about who we become. My question to you is, what are you becoming because of the choices and the decisions that you're making? I hope and pray that in a few years, as you begin to look back over your life, you can say that I am proud of the individual that I am becoming. Because when we focus on progress, we're willing to take these steps daily, weekly, and monthly to help us move towards our goals and where we're desiring to be in life. So I need you to tap the like and follow button for more content that's going to help you move forward faster. And as always, you're one commitment away from elevating your life to your next level. I'm Coach Cannon, and I'm committed to progressing forward.